Good evening and welcome to the first episode of Raw Chop TV, hosted by myself and Dan. Good evening, Dan.
Evening, Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. In devices, it's fine at the moment. Rain's stopped, which is good. And over your way?
Pretty much the same. It's got a bit sticky though.
Yeah. We're both in Wiltshire, which is probably the best county in England. I think we can say that because we've got Roland here as well. Right. Okay.
No bias there at all.
None at all. Let's get the show on the road, and I suppose the first thing to do, because I'm going to try and go to script while everybody settles in, is
Oh, it's all getting a bit flash.
Now, I like that. If you like that, put a 1 in the box on the right-hand side. And if you missed it the first time through, thank you, Roland. We'll just play it again. Okay. And I'll X that out. And we're now, hopefully in a second, it won't go. It's gone now. And we're back. Right, okay. The idea for Raw Chop TV came about when?
I think it came from our last chat on Blab in April, after which you said, why don't we make this a monthly thing? And my initial reaction was, oh my God, no. But I actually sat down and thought about it and ran it past a couple of people, and showed them the video of the last Blab, and they all kind of went, "Go for it." So you know what it's like. Sometimes these little ideas sort of take root, and you never know quite what's going to happen. I mean, in fact, really, that's pretty much the story of Elements for Life. But I think it's just a case of give something a try, have a bit of fun while we do it, and see where we go, really. So
that's the whole thing, isn't it? To make to be informative yet fun.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We've got a mix of things coming up in the next 30 minutes or so. Anything can happen, and probably will. We've spent the day chatting to each other and working out. Dan worked out a program, and then we put things in place, and hopefully, as we go along today, everything's going to work fine. So let's go with the first question, which is a question everybody asks you, Dan, and I'm going to ask it again. What is raw chocolate?
And it is a really good question, because often people just give you a vacant look when you say, oh, I do raw chocolate, or I make raw chocolate, or I've got a raw chocolate business, and there's just sort of this sort of like, and as far as I'm concerned, and I think as far as the raw chocolate industry, such as it is concerned, it comes down to two things, and that's the cacao that you use, so the chocolate, and then the way you process that cacao. So the first aspect with the actual cacao itself, it's about using obviously very good quality, high quality cacao. But the critical thing here is that after the beans have been dried and fermented lightly, with raw chocolate, the beans aren't roasted. And what happens normally with chocolate is the beans get roasted. And this really draws out that astringent bitterness that you get in chocolate. And the reason that a lot of people go, I don't like raw chocolate, dark chocolate, is that real astringent bitterness. Yeah. And it's the roasting which really draws that out. So with raw chocolate, the cacao we use, the beans we use, they're never roasted. So you don't ever get the same level of bitterness. So you could have for example, an 80% dark chocolate and an 80% raw chocolate. And the raw chocolate just won't be as bitter because it hasn't been roasted. The other benefit of not roasting, as well as the less bitterness to the flavour, is that you're retaining more of the nutrients. And cacao is fantastically packed with nutrients. Then when after that process, the method of extracting the butter and the powder, splitting the bean into two, conventionally is done under really high temperatures and pressures. And again, so it's more high temperatures, destroying more nutrients. So with raw chocolate, that processing is done under low temperatures. There's a couple of different figures that people say for keeping things raw.
Yeah.
One of them is 47 degrees Celsius. Some people say 50 degrees Celsius. I've heard people say 45, but it's that sort of region.
Yeah.
And the idea of that temperature is keeping it low, is you're not destroying the enzymes in particular, the enzymes and the other nutrients that are in the food. So in this case, the cacao, which is obviously better for us. If you're not destroying the enzymes, not destroying the nutrients, then there's more goodness in what you're eating to absorb into your body. So, for example, the cacao we use, it's stone ground under low temperatures, again, keeping it nice and low under that 47 degrees, which means that you're getting more nutrients in the final product. Then when you make your chocolate, so this is leading into the second aspect, when you make your chocolate, there's various processes, various ways of doing it, but the ingredients you use, conventionally they'll use refined sugars, which have got a very high GI rating, which is the glycemic index. So that's the way your body metabolizes the sugars. And if something's got a really high GI, you get that real energy peak, and then you get a trough afterwards. So you get that real crash from high sugar things. So with raw chocolate, you'll use a lower GI sweetener. So usually this will be something like, there's all sorts of things that can be used. So the main thing is it's not refined cane sugar, because they're the things which really get high up. So we use something called Sweet Freedom, which is a small UK company that makes that. It's made from apples, carob and grapes. So it's
natural sugars.
Yeah, natural sugars. And even though it's from fruit, it's not largely fructose, it's actually mainly glucose, which is a whole nother episode really. So you're not getting the peaks and troughs of energy, and then you don't use any additional packers or bulkers, so none of this hydrogenated fats and all this sort of stuff. You're basically keeping things as pure and as simple, so you're not adulterating it, so you're getting maximum nutrients, and then you're not destroying, sort of abusing it with all sorts of things. So typically raw chocolate will have no dairy, have no soya, no wheat or gluten, no refined sugars. So it's just full of natural ingredients. So I certainly think it's better for you. I certainly think it tastes a hell of a lot better than normal chocolate. And I must admit, I find it very hard to eat normal chocolate now.
Yeah, I mean, it is the taste, isn't it? Because the taste is somewhat, I mean, we're all in the UK brought up on Cadbury's and Bourneville and Terry's. And Barb, if you could drop in what sort of an American chocolate we can compare it to as well. Those are very rich and creamy. And the situation there is that the cacao beans have been cooked at 200 degrees, not the 50 degrees 40 degrees you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, there's the roasting process initially, which is obviously really high temperatures, and then commercially when they extract the butter and powder, this is done at really high temperatures. Typically it can be over 200 degrees, and it's often at high pressure as well, and it's just so it's done on really large scale, because they have to produce huge amounts of it. So it's just, it's the difference between a mass-produced product and a smaller, more artisan product that is closer to the original source, I suppose, is one way of looking at it.
Right. And hence your slogan, where there's chocolate, there's hope, because it's healthy, isn't it?
Oh, well, that's one of them. That's that one there.
Okay, yeah.
While there's chocolate, there's hope. So, yeah, I mean, I mean, we seem to have several slogans. That's one of them. Another one is actually spreading the raw chocolate love, and that's really one of the things that we love to do, and that's what, as a company, and what me and my wife we very much like to do, is just trying to spread the love of raw chocolate and get people away from highly processed, sort of mass-produced products to something that's smaller produced. We've got better nutrient profiles in and tastes better.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I mean, I'm an avid fan of your wide range of chocolate products, because you start off with you still have the chocolate making kit, don't you? So you can make your own
Well,
product placement. Brilliant.
How about that? It's almost like we had this planned.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, yeah. What's in the chocolate making kit?
Okay,
Making your own chocolate.
Right. So basically, this is. I was talking about the cacao butter and the cacao powder earlier. So what you've got here is cacao butter and cacao powder. So basically, you take the beans, you crush them. The fat that gets extracted out, that's your cacao butter, or commonly known as cocoa butter, and then the residue is ground into a powder, which is cocoa powder or cacao powder. You then mix those, melt that, add some of that, put in something sweet. We use the Sweet Freedom. Okay. Mix it together, put it in a mold, put it in the fridge, enjoy it. And it is as easy as that. It really is as easy as that. And I don't defy anybody not to be able to make it.
Is it time for a recipe, you think?
I think we probably could do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just to show how easy it is, we'll bring Dan's words to life. I echo Barb's comments there. Yum, and Melody as well. We can agree with you. I can attest that that is exactly how you do it. We don't get a cut. We've made the chocolate using that particular kit many times over the years, and it's not only are you actually making the chocolate, but after a short while you get to enjoy it as well. And we'll give a link to the recipe so you can replay it later. For those who are watching the replay and saw nothing for a couple of minutes, our apologies. The link will be here on the replay. Just press the link. There'll be a link to the intro and to the recipe video, and you can take a look at those separately on Dan's channel on YouTube. Looks like you enjoy making that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I always sort of point out to people is that it takes 20, 30 minutes, you're putting it in the fridge, and then you've got to wait a couple of hours, but you get to lick the bowl out, you see. And it's
cooking.
Exactly. And it's quite interesting because we sort of quite often so parents will buy a kit to make with their children, and we get reports back of the kids putting them in the fridge and then having to wait, and they're trying to open the fridge door to see if they're ready, and the mums are going, no, wait, but look, here's the bowl. So it is, and that's one of the things. It's fun to do. It really is a fun thing to do. It's easy, it's fun, and yeah, I mean, kids love doing things, love making things, and people say, like I said earlier, people don't like dark chocolate often, but often if people don't like dark chocolate, they will love raw chocolate. And in fact, Paula, my wife, she's a case in point. She used to eat milk chocolate day in, day out, and now she just can't touch it, and she eats raw chocolate all the time, and she would never have believed it, but it's yeah.
This is going to be a strange thing to say, but when you eat dark chocolate, you don't eat as much as you do with the milk chocolate. Or at least I've found that. Angelica's found that too. Because it is more satisfying. You don't, if you can eat a full bar or a full 2 yummy scrummies, then
Absolutely, and I think one of the reasons for that is probably that when people are eating a conventional chocolate, whether it's a conventional milk chocolate or even a dark chocolate to some degree, compared to a raw chocolate, to some degree they're feeding a sugar habit, and it's not so much about actually. You're not really getting the goodness from the chocolate, from the cacao, but you sort of kind of psychologically you think you should be, but you're feeding this sugar addiction unconsciously for most people. And then if you wean yourself off, you change your eating habits. In fact, I think as Roland said earlier about sort of with tea, when you have tea and a sugar in your tea, and then you first have it without, it's terrible. But over time, your taste change, and then someone gives you a cup of tea with some sugar in, and it's like, oh. Exactly. So, and yeah, I mean, and that's the thing when you make it yourself. What often happens, people put quite a bit of sweetener in there, whether it's the Sweet Freedom, whether it's honey or whatever. They put quite a bit in because they're used to something sweet, and over the weeks and months, they put a lot less in, and sort of 6 months later, there's probably often they sort of even halved the amount of sweetener they put in.
Well, that's it. If you're making your own recipe, you make the first one, and even as a man, you would read the instructions, follow them step by step, and at the end of it, you get the chocolates. And you think, what if, as you said, reduce the Sweet Freedom and add, if you're not allergic to nuts, add some nuts. Anything, you can use that. It's the basis for a lot of different products, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that basic recipe that was in the video is just, it's like I say, it's our no-fail recipe, and I don't think I've heard anyone not make chocolate as a result. There's no excuses. But like I say, it's a really good base. Once people have got the hang of that, and it only takes a couple of batches, and you've got it mastered. And then it's sort of start experimenting, putting fillings in, putting different things in. So sort of essential oil, sort of maybe a rose essential oil, a couple of drops of that to give you a nice flavored chocolate. And then you can start really branching out and start doing cakes and mousses and all sorts of things. And
I would love to see a cake recipe on the next show.
Well, funny enough, I was thinking about this, and I've kind of set myself a challenge here of having to produce a video for a recipe each episode. I think a cake might be a little bit way down the line. I need to get that video editing first.
We'll build up to it. And for the next show, if you all bring your raw chocolate kits along, you can do it as we do it. Men don't normally read instructions, but in the case of chocolate, I did, because I wanted to get this done. And step by step, and the instructions were very straightforward, and everything worked and continues to work. Because you then went on to take the chocolate making kit, and then went on to another product as well, which we're going to mention. We've got to mention Yummy Scrummies at least once in every show.
I mean, we make all sorts of bits and pieces. Yummy Scrummy is kind of called a raw chocolate brownie, which is the closest you can get to describe it. And it's fruits, nuts, and lots of raw chocolate. But it's not a brownie. Again, there's no wheat, there's no dairy, it's not cooked. But yeah, it kind of says what it is.
It does. The name says it all. And of course, I mean, this is when we talk about chocolate and we talk about making chocolate at home. You now own your own chocolate factory.
Well, yeah. Again, much like this thing we're doing now, Raw Choc TV, it sort of came out of nowhere. We started making chocolate, and we started doing bits and pieces, and it started getting a bit more successful and busier and busier and busier, and our house got taken over and over and over, and we ended up with boxes everywhere. And the next thing is, it's like we need to do something about this. And luckily we found a farm building a few miles down the road, and spent quite a bit of time and money converting it into what we need, and we've got this fabulous chocolate venture in a place that's affectionately known as Woolly Wonkaland, because it's woolly green. So it kind of lent itself to being called that. But yeah, it's great. It's just sort of allowed us to start sort of looking at where we go with things. But yeah, onwards and upwards, I say.
Yeah. So when you're talking about raw chocolate, you're talking about it from eating it, but also from making raw chocolate products. You know, and
I think this is probably a good thing to say here. So one of my real passions is, like I say, spreading the raw chocolate love, and Raw Choc TV, wherever this may go, is about that. It's about getting people engaged with raw chocolate, getting people to understand what it is, and yeah, getting people to get involved as much as possible, and just really sort of spread the word of the wonders of raw chocolate, because it's an amazing thing. It really is an amazing thing, and I almost guarantee to anybody, you never know quite where your life might go.
Indeed. And for those of you who don't know about it, would you like to explain? Hopefully this will hang on. There's something will go wrong. I'm going to try again.
I'm not sure what you're doing now.
Right. Right. Would you explain about the Raw Chocolate Lovers group on Facebook? I've just put the link in.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is something a random idea. A couple of years ago, I started a group on Facebook called the Raw Chocolate Lovers, and again, it's just a space for anyone who's got an interest in raw chocolate or a love of raw chocolate to just come and join. I'm still trying to figure out how to run a Facebook group, and also I don't want it to be me running it. I want it to.
Yeah.
I want it to. It's that community thing, I guess, isn't it? So people come in, people share recipes. When people are doing workshops and courses, they share details there. And if people are running competitions and that sort of thing, so it's sort of an information resource at the moment, and obviously free to join. And Roland, you can add admins. I've got admins added. I don't really know what to do with the group.
No, I mean, it's there as a resource. If people go in there, join the group, and they have a question, then they can ask you, and you and Paul will answer it.
And not just us. I mean, we get some great responses from the members of the. I think there's just over 1,000 people who are members of the group now, and as with most things on Facebook, sort of maybe 10% are active. And but we get sort of all sorts of people coming in with sort of questions and ideas, and people sharing their ideas, and they're absolutely rolling recipes, videos. People, I try and encourage people to share as much as possible. That's what it's about for me.
Yeah, it's basically, there's no magic recipe for a group. It just happens, doesn't it? The community comes together over time, usually with a little bit of cajoling. So that's the group. We've posted a link to that. Let me go back to the script just to make sure that we're sort of following it. Right, okay. Now, if you have any questions for Dan about raw chocolate, then please ask them as we're going along. We're going to go for another. We'll send photos in. We will be recording for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll go off there, and you can join us if you wish. Right. Okay.
Are you volunteering to go to the North Pole, Roland?
Right. Well, there you go. Barb's just it's you've become transatlantic now. You're members from the USA, and good friends as well. Right. Sorry about that. Just checking. Right. Okay. Now, do you have what happens next on the show? What do we do?
Well, if anybody wants to come on screen and share their ideas, or just add a comment or anything like that, you're more than welcome to, or post questions. But if not, I've got a couple of things up our sleeve. So
right, okay.
You should join our group. Definitely, whatever it is, post a link.
I can heartily recommend it. It's a great place to learn about live video chats.
Okay, cool.
And it's very good of Barbara to mention it. And you can get hints and tips in there, and that's the group that I'm using to learn all about this video arena which we're in. Okay, question from Roland. And I'll read it out. On this question, and how many calories are in raw chocolate compared to standard milk chocolate? If we take
actually, Jackie, you've kind of said what I was thinking. Who cares? But I know a lot of people do care, rightly or wrongly. To be honest, it's very difficult to actually compare like for like. Certainly on a question like that, because you've got so many variations on types of bar, how they're made, how big they are. If you're making, say, raw chocolate yourself, it depends how much of the sweetener you're putting in, that sort of thing. But probably on a calorie level, compared to sort of a milk chocolate, I would say it would be less, because with a milk chocolate, you've got the milk and there's probably some other fats, vegetable fats in there as well. So those are going to be putting up the calorie levels. Whereas with a raw chocolate, you won't have those. You'll be having the cacao butter and the cacao powder, and then sort of. So, without sort of looking exactly, it's difficult to say, but they're either going to be comparable or less. But I mean, as Jackie has put in the comments, it's about nutrition and what's in the chocolate, and then how your body metabolizes the chocolate. So, and that's the big difference between the two. But good question.
Yeah, just a hypothesis here. If we could switch people from eating milk chocolate to just stop it overnight, we stop people eating it, and then we say, right, okay, you can eat. You know where I'm going with this, don't you?
I'm not sure, but we'll go with it.
If they ate raw chocolate, and if we had all had to eat raw chocolate instead of milk chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. At that point, with that question, I shall bring Barb in.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey.
Hello, Barb.
Good evening, Barb.
I'm a chocolate lover.
That's what I like to hear. Are you a raw chocolate lover?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And the thing is, though, I haven't thought about doing anything myself. And I live in an environment where there's all these fresh berries, like raspberries and blackberries and that. So with your recipe, can I use that for dipping?
Yeah, you can do. And what you, yeah, I mean, it depends how firm the berries are, because if they're still quite firm, you can certainly dip them in, then put them on a baking tray,
and it'll harden,
and then put them in the fridge. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say at this point is that recipe, the chocolate you make isn't tempered, and basically very, very quickly that means it's will melt easier. So when you bring them out of the fridge after they've set, and they're at room temperature, they will start to soften. So if you're someone who's quite, not necessarily right away, but they will start to soften sort of reasonably quickly. Depends on how hot your ambient temperature is. But certainly if you're going to bring them out and leave them out the fridge for hours, then they will soften. But they shouldn't melt completely unless it's particularly hot. And tempering is another thing that I think we'll definitely cover in another show.
Good. Well, here's what I see is it's summertime here where I'm at, and those would be great frozen, just to bring it out of the freezer and eat on the deck. The chocolate with the berries. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, funny enough, Jackie has just put a comment that she freezes her chocks. So that would be a way of doing it. Absolutely. I mean, and then if you take it out of the freezer, and then nice frozen berries with some chocolate coating on, lovely. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I like that.
You'll find a lot of chocolate lovers or wine lovers as well. Wine and chocolate have a tendency to go together.
They do, don't they? Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, I just wanted to jump on screen, tell you hi, and you are welcome to join our group on live streaming. We're educating one another, and since you are producing a show, I think you could really benefit from it.
Cool.
I'm an old timer on the Facebook group side, and we need to get a permanent name for your group set. You've got so many in there, and you can do that now. So
okay.
I'll make you how to do that. It's very easy.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure we connect, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And I would say make a recipe book for the people in your group. I mean, get all the recipes together and make it a project for your group. I'd participate.
Good idea. Cool. Excellent. That's a good idea. Excellent.
Catch you later.
Thanks, Barb. Bye. So, Roland, can raw chocolate be poured in liquid form onto ice cream as a sauce? Well, actually, that is one of my favourite things to do. So, yes, is the answer. And I don't, if you may remember, there was a product, I think it was called Ice Magic, which was like a chocolate sauce in a little pyramid-y shaped plastic tub. And you poured that on ice cream and it sort of went into a crust. It works like that, and it is brilliant, but it is so much nicer. And it just gives you a really beautiful, gooey, chocolatey coating. Yeah. Sprinkle on some maybe bee pollen and some sprouted buckwheat and bits and pieces like that. And oh, yeah, top. Good question, Roland.
Right. I'm back. I just went to get some raw chocolate out of the freezer. Right. Okay. Welcome to everybody who's joined us. If you've got questions, then you can either ask them in text or you can come on air and join Dan and I as we're recording at the moment. Right. Okay. Well.
And if not, we've got something to move on to.
We have.
Yeah.
Shall I? Shall I reveal?
Hang on. Roland has just chipped in. Do you have many shapes for your molds? Absolutely loads. We've got all sorts of shapes. The kit comes with one of two designs, but we've got loads of different shapes, and then there's loads of others available online, from little sort of chocolate box shapes to chocolate bar molds and all sorts. So yeah, your imagination can run wild.
Right. Okay. Now, just a minute. I need to. Right. Okay. Can you see that, Dan?
Yep.
Okay. We'd like to talk about it because.
Okay. So a little competition for everyone. I did say in the run up to this and in the promotion that there'd be a competition. So your chance to win one of 3 raw chocolate making kits. It's a really simple competition. It's just a really simple question. And the answer you will find by watching either the whole video or the no-fail chocolate recipe video. And it is simply how many cells were in the chocolate mold in that video. So if you go to the web address, which we will post any second now, put in your answer, submit your details, and if you're one of the lucky winners, you win a raw chocolate kit. There's only one caveat, and that's unfortunately this time it's UK addresses only, so I can only post the kits to a UK address this time round. So sorry for Barb, sorry about that. Speaking of Barb, so this is the Sweet Freedom available in the USA? I don't believe it is, actually. I don't believe it is. People use agave syrup. I'm not hugely keen on that myself. Or what else? A raw honey, a really nice raw honey, maple syrup. While they're not as low GI as some of the other things, they can be very good. So there's lots of different things you can try. So there we go. That's the link to the competition.
Right.
The closing date is 8 AM Wednesday the 22nd of June, and we'll announce the winner on the same day, or the winners. And if you're one of the lucky winners, you'll get a kit sent to you. Good luck.
Excellent. Welcome, Claire and Colin. Dan, could you just close the competition window, please?
Have I got to do that? Okay.
Just X top right and right. Okay.
Cool.
I'll tell you what happened after we finish recording.
Okay.
Barb knows possibly what happened just then. Right. Okay. So you've got the competition link in there.
Yep.
And basically, wish you all good luck. If you're watching the replay, can you just say the date again, Dan?
Okay, so the closing date for the competition is Wednesday, 8 a.m. Wednesday, the 22nd of June. If you go to our Facebook page, all the details will be on there. If you go to our YouTube page, all the details will be on there. If you go to our website, all the details will be on there. And if you sign up to our email list, you'll get lots of information about it as well. But before we go, I've got one surprise, which Roland, no one knows about. Stephen doesn't know about. Roland definitely doesn't know about. And this is a little bonus that I've come up with. And it's basically to say thank you to all you wonderful people who have been here for the first episode and joined us live, and for the people who watch on a replay, because they'll be able to get in there quick, but particularly those of you who are here today. I'm going to give you a little chance to have a Raw Chocolate Lover t-shirt.
Wow.
Free. Okay?
Yep.
And these I will send anywhere in the world. So all you need to do to be in a chance with getting one of these for free at some point in the next couple of months when we do a print run is share the video on Facebook, add a comment to the video of the recording as well on our YouTube channel, and then by Wednesday the 22nd, I will check, see who's added comments and that sort of thing. I will also post a link on those pages where you can add your details, and then I will have all your details, and when we do a print run, I will send you a t-shirt to say thank you. That's my surprise.
Wonderful. Do co-presenters qualify?
I think you'll probably qualify, but absolutely.
Right. Okay, spreading the raw chocolate love around the world, because there's no limits as far as you post anywhere, yeah?
Yeah, for the t-shirts, yeah, I can post those anywhere. I'm sure if you've got an address in Antarctica, it might take a little while to get to you, but absolutely. So keep an eye on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel, and put some comments on there and share it, and I will make sure that a link goes up for you to be able to do that. I did have a link, but I've lost it for some reason, so I will figure that one out and I'll post it to you soon.
Right. We did play the recipe earlier, but I think we should play it again to give everybody a chance to enter the competition.
Yep. Good way to end.
Yeah. Again, the link to the video is here. Now, of course, our apologies, that won't be on the replay, but if you take the link, which is the last link we're posting tonight, then you can watch the video over and over again. And as Dan said earlier, if you like it, that would help. And also as the competition to enter. The competition link, hang on, just a minute before we do switch off. Can we find the, right, okay, yeah. Got it, just before we go, and coming back, and the competition is here. Right, okay. Would you like to close the show?
Cool.
I owned it, you close it. I mean, unfair.
No, well, just to say thanks everyone for coming along and supporting us. Yeah, love to hear your feedback and comments. And hopefully you can join us. Oh, in fact, yes, for next show. That's what we should tell them about.
Indeed. Good thought.
I did have the date in front of me and it's gone. It is a month from now. It's the middle Wednesday of July, which makes it Wednesday the, what's that, the 17th of July? Well, the wonders of live TV, eh?
Yeah.
No, Wednesday the 13th of July, 7 o'clock. We'll be back here, folks. Come and join us.
Yeah, we'll possibly both be wearing the t-shirts and still as well. Or we come on camera, we can do a group photo, 4 people all wearing shirts. It's been up. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next show, July 13th. Take care and good night.
Bye.
Bye.